Hey guys, it's Growlbittz. Today I'm going to show you how to make this bass right here. That sounds simple until I enable the hyperdimension, in which case it'll sound like... So yeah, the hyperdimension is the key in this. It's what makes it, and the dimension is what the delay, sorry, is what makes it a lot, I guess, liquidy. So what I did essentially was, let's start with the basics. What I did first, I just made a simple LFO shape, on this wavetable I made, going in 50, because if I go too much, it'll go 1 2 1 2 like this, because it's cycles. It's I think I messed up when I rendered this wavetable, that's why. Either way, I added some optional FM. It's not FMing at this point, but you could add FM, but that's optional. And this is not important right now. So yeah, and I just added a sub bass and some noise. That's all just, for polishing. You really don't need this at all. But it just gives a lot more, I guess, high end, and makes it a bit crisper. In fact, I could actually turn the noise a little bit up, actually, to about maybe like 12. Or maybe just a little bit less, like right there. Should be perfect. Yeah. And the sub bass, again, like I said, is optional. This already has sub bass, but just in case. So anyways, one more thing. They should probably enable, this area here. On this, that'd be very, very helpful. So yeah, I'll have this an EQ, a flanger, and a delay, which does add a lot of stuff. Mostly the EQ adds that notchy feel to it. The flanger too. And if you can tell, it doesn't sound very, I guess, it doesn't have a sort of movement to it right now. The echoey movement, and that's the delay. I picked up on this from Virtual Riot. Just set it to 1/8, so an eighth note, 0 feedback, and just have this be negative to the LFO that's modulating the main thing. So every time it goes to 0, this actually goes up. So it'll kind of go after. Because if I were to do this, it'll go along with the LFO. But if I do this, it'll only happen when the main sequence is done. So it'll kind of take turns, playing. Which I have this set to about 20, almost 30%. Sorry if you can hear my voice getting farther away from the microphone. I'm making space for a tablet that's arriving tomorrow, so I can actually make art for my music and all that stuff. And I had to move my keyboard, my piano keyboard, to the right. Sort of a Virtual Riot, reminiscent of like Virtual Riot 2013 to 2014, studio time stuff. If you saw his webcam, it's to the right. But I need to move it to the left because, I need to like hold down a note and move my mouse, but I'm not left-handed, so yeah. Anyways, enough of that. On to the main thing. Of course, the compressor, I've done something that I watched in a Seamless video, which I have done before, but when I saw the Seamless video, it helped me a lot because I would just modulate these bands, but I wouldn't know how to control it because I didn't know that they would actually appear in the matrix. So I have the low and the high obviously modulating a decent amount, but the main thing that's being modulated a lot is the mid band. So it kind of just gives it more body the higher it gets in the point in the LFO. And I'm making a bit of an I have trouble with that word. Emphasis, if you watch my other streams, emphasis on this part right here. And if I turn it up, it'll be more apparent. Just very short. So I have that. And just like a very harsh slope here. Because if I turn that up, it'll be not good. So I'll just put it around here. Although that may be a tiny bit too much. Right there. So yeah. And of course the hyperdimension. Now we're getting to that. So before we do that though, yeah, the flanger is just, rate 0, depth all the way up, sort of like what you would do-ish with the chorus. Just mixing it in. And finally to the hyperdimension. The hyperdimension, I leave this part alone. I turn the unison to 2. I'm kind of just doing this, but not exactly. I'm turning the unison to 2. They should add more unison levels, but I put it on retrigger. That's what's giving it the random phase all the way down sort of feel when you use the actual detune feature. And I turned the rate to 100% on a bipolar, so it's going 1 2 1 2. That's what it's called, back and forth. And the detune is being modulated up. It's already starting at a pretty decent amount, and it's going all the way up. And I'm turning the mix up as it goes. So when I do that, it gives it this feel, which is of course optional. You can also mix it a tiny bit more, in which case I might just add 87%. But it's, you know, it's the type of basses you hear nowadays, very wide, so I'll keep it. Of course, you can add chorus, the static chorus effect thing, you know, just, you know, sort of do that if you want. But that's wide enough, and the chorus tends to have this delay that I don't like, that makes it sound very messy, that not even reduce ambience or a vocoder can fix. And yes, the vocoder can actually do a better job than reduced ambience does if you actually add it. But sometimes, in some cases, it'll be way too much. And I think that the chorus is actually working for me this time. Like if I turn it off, oh, there's not much of a difference. But I mean, fuck it, let's keep it. Last thing I might add is just a tiny thing there. Let's not. So yeah, that's the bass, and of course the FM is optional. You turn it up, but oh, of course. So yeah, I hope this video helped you guys out. I was planning to keep this for a Skillshare video, but nah, I gotta share. I gotta share with the world, you know. Of course, what's making this big is the big yoink. But you know, you can also do, you know, stuff in the post and the, you know, the distortion could work, but it didn't work for me this time. And yeah, I hope this helped you guys out. And if you have any questions, just leave it in the comments.